Okay, we are live from my bedroom and wherever Sly happens to be. His library, by the looks of it.
Yeah, kind of the den, I think you called it.
Den. Cool. It's a den of comic book iniquity.
Yeah, too much comic book. As you see upstairs, there's a lot of boxes of comics on the bookshelves, and this is only part of my collection.
It's the thing is with comic books, it's like it seems like too many, but it's never enough at the same time.
Yeah,
it's like too many, but never enough, because there's always new ones to discover, new ones to read. But I've had a very, very slim week this week, to be honest. Very, very slim week. I got this one that was supposed to have come with another buy that I got last week, but he wasn't able to. He couldn't find it, so I mentioned it last week. He ordered it from another eBayer for me to actually come to me. So it was very. He could have just given me my money back. Instead, he actually bought it from another eBayer. So it's like crazy. He's lost money on this, but he's that kind of positive to his customers. He always tries to be sort of super, and he's always I like buying from him because he's a good.
Is he the same guy you talked about? I think last week or the week before.
Yeah, the guy I talked about last week. I bought a couple of other ones, and this is just one. That, he couldn't find it, but he just ordered it from someone else for me. But I've kind of I don't know why I've kind of started on Marvel Fanfare because there's loads in that run, and I've no idea. I just started right. I should never have written them down on my list of because once I've written them down on my list, it feels like, I've got to try and collect those now.
They're always fun issues, and often they have great artists on them. I think this one was by Gray Morrow.
Yeah, Brzozowski and Morrow, it says on the front there.
Okay, maybe Brzozowski did the layout
and Morrow just on the cover. So maybe one did the colouring, maybe one did the. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who the guy is, but it's Man-Thing and some devil holding him in place by the looks of it. Is it?
Yeah, I read it, but many years ago.
Yeah, I shall get round to reading that. And the other one I went to get my second jab Wednesday. Finally managed to get my second jab. There was a couple of delays. It was cancelled a couple of times. Well, I popped into the charity shop just opposite where the jab centre was. And I was this is not often you get this. You find a comic book that you want that you didn't know you needed. I didn't know I needed this comic book. I had no idea that I needed this comic book, and I put myself slightly bigger. It's not like a massive thing, but it's Dial H for Hero 0. I didn't know there was a 0 in this run. So as you know from watching my videos, I've got practically every Dial H for Hero comic book that I can get hold of. So I literally did not know that I needed this because I didn't realize I had one. I looked at it in the shop and I went, Dial H 0, and I was like, I don't remember having 0. And I was like, I was trying to see if I could find it on my blog, because I got a blog with most of my boxes on there. I went on to the entry from that box. It just says Blue Beetle and Dial H. I didn't put the actual individual numbers on it. So I was like, I'm sure I haven't got it. I had a quick flick through. Yeah, so that was good. Picked that up for £2. Got a comic to finish off a run that I thought was already finished, and helped the British Heart Foundation as well. So all good.
Have you read it?
I've read it already. Yeah,
it's a good one, eh?
It's quite sad. It's quite.
But it's a good story. I bought the whole run in one shot on eBay, and I knew there was a issue 0 because it came with it. And I loved the issue 0, but the rest of the series, after 5 or 6 issue, I couldn't go through. It was too weird, and the art was not very good, I thought. And
I'm not sure it's the same artist all the way through. I quite like the art. I thought the art wasn't too bad, but the story is just like you say. It's a really way out there kind of concept of behind the H. Every time they do a new H style, they never keep it the same. They always have to change elements. It's never the same people using the dial twice, and they always try and come up with new stories behind the dial kind of thing. And that one, that China Medieval, he does fantasy books as well. He's actually an author. And I said the one book I read by his was just crazy. It was 2 cities in different dimensions occupying the same. No, it's not. It's not a woman. No, it's not.
It's not a woman.
No, it's not a woman. No.
I thought China was a girl thing.
No. I've looked it up on the. It's an unusual name, China, but I think he's got quite socialist. I think he's like I don't know if his parents named him China because it was a I don't know, a communist country. I don't know, to be honest, but I know he's quite left wing. But yeah, I think he's involved in politics and stuff like that. But yeah, it was. The book that I said, the one book that I read by him was very strange. Like two cities occupying the same space, and they could see each other, but they weren't allowed to look at each other, kind of thing. So they saw each other, noticed each other. They weren't allowed to look. They had to pretend they couldn't see them, because if they did, they got carted away by some kind of like secret police kind of thing. It was really kind of like, I don't know, allegorical to all kinds of weird stuff that was probably above my brain grade. But yeah, it was quite an interesting read.
It also had little to do with the rest of the series, that issue number 0.
That issue, yeah, that was like a pre-history story, wasn't it? But it was rather than dial H being a dial, it was a sundial, wasn't it? It was sundial H for hero.
I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah, and it was kind of give you an idea about, because she got the powers of someone called what was her name? It's like Bumper Carla or something like that. But I think she was called Bumper Carla.
Oh yeah,
and she was quite a silly hero. So quite a lot of the heroes in this run are very silly.
Yeah. Seems that every issue that they try to outdone the silliness of the previous issue, and they would go on down the
yeah. I kind of liked it.
Silliness.
Yeah, Bumper Carla. I kind of like that kind of silliness, because when you think about it, practically every single good name has been taken. So then they're really thinking outside the box when it came to making up new character names. I kind of found it like really kind of fun. And I don't know if you did you read the most recent Dial H run, where I think it was a 12-parter? That was quite cool. Quite like that one as well.
I've read the I think the last one I read was this one, and like I said, I had the whole set, but I haven't read the whole set. I got discouraged after half a dozen issues or so.
it is quite brain numbing stuff, but there are some interesting stories in it. It's like there is like quite a lot of it would make you go, oh, I don't understand, but there's bits on it. There was enough in it for me to actually enjoy it, I would say. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it, but like it's not one I'd relish to go back and read again, because it's like, oh yeah, I remember liking it, but it was a little bit of a tough concept to sort of get my head around, kind of thing.
For me, that's the true mark of a good comic book. When you ask yourself, would you reread it a second time? And if the answer is no, most of the time I don't keep it in my collection.
Yeah. Now, I probably would read it again at some point. But I would again probably be scratching my head about it. Who knows? I might like read it again and actually get a better grasp on what concepts they're sort of exploring in it. But yeah, I did like the inventiveness of the characters as well. Although they were kind of a bit silly, I kind of like that sort of silly, sort of super inventiveness, because every single character's been invented already almost, it seems like. But it just seems like I like the out there, way out thinking kind of element of some of the characters they created.
Yeah, but that was a problem for me, because it was silly, it was very creative, but there wasn't a plot or a story that drove me to want to follow the issues. Because if you think about it, Grant Morrison, when he took over Doom Patrol, was a bit the same kind of silliness in characters and all that, but he had a story to tell, and he made you care about the characters, which is not something China Melville was able to do for me in this one. Yeah. The only character I liked was the main one, because he he wasn't a regular guy. He wasn't a super guy. He was a regular guy. He was a kind of fat, not very charismatic. He was not a beautiful guy. He could have been me.
Exactly what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say.
With the character, but that's the only an interesting thing for me in that series.
Yeah, it gave me hope that I could one day become a superhero. Still, that dream that I've had since I was a little tiny kid, first reading comic books, to be a superhero in the future. It's like, yeah, if I could just get the H dial, that's it. I could be a superhero. But that's what I'd like to see. Like, it never happened, but I'd like to see not the original concept, the second concept they did, where people wrote in with their own ideas for superheroes. I thought that was a cracking idea. I thought that was really cool. That kind of interaction with the audience, and people could write in with their little pictures and their character names. I thought that was a really good idea.
The Jackson Roy Kirk makes a good point here. He says, I have a few titles I'd like to reread. But I've got so many books I haven't read once yet.
Yeah, it does happen. I do go through every time I go through a box. Every time I go through a box, I'm like, I'd like to read that again. Like I'll go through, like I would like to get. Every now and again, I do, like if it's a short, like 3-part or something like that, I'll read it through. I've been finding myself reading a few online as well. Like people are like, I read something that's killing the children, about 17 issues or something, whatever it is on at the moment of that. And also I've been reading some of the recent DC kind of horror titles. It was one, what was it called? Head Basket Full of Heads. I read that one. And there was another one with like a lady's name, like I can't remember what her name was now, but it was like a young 14-year-old girl who could see dead things, kind of thing. It wasn't a bad story, but yeah, I just when my girlfriend goes to sleep like early at night, so I just put my laptop on and I read on my laptop rather than, because I can't read comic books, you know. But comic book wise, all I've read this week is that the Black Hood. I finished off the Fly run from Impact Comics, and I've read the whole Black Hood run as well. That's really kind of weird, that Black Hood run. It's not great, to be honest.
Oh, I liked it.
It is
the weirdest one of the Impact line, I think, but I liked it.
Half the stories don't even seem to feature him. Like you say, the Black Hood changes back, and it kind of goes a bit, I don't know, just like it wasn't really enough stories. And there was this, it seemed to be like suggesting that he was trying to battle the Black Hood. The Black Hood was trying to change him, but it didn't really. That's it, Definitely Burn. That's the other one that I read. Definitely Burn. Yeah, well done, Werewolf. It just seemed like it was jumping bits. It was sort of trying to say that the Hood was trying to change him. You could feel it trying to change him, but you never actually explored it. He just kind of said it as if it had already happened, but it didn't seem to show that.
Yeah, they explored it a bit in the annuals of that year. The only year they produced annual for that line, I think they were backup stories, and a lot of annual. They had backup story of previous Black Hoods.
Yeah.
And the error they did on that series, I think, is the Black Hood change from person to person almost every couple of issues. So it's tough to follow a character who's not the same protagonist all the time. You start with the original Black Hood who gets killed. Sorry for spoilers. But the first issue or two, I think, and then a kid gets the hood, and you think it's going to be the main character. Yeah. But then a bad guy gets the hood for a few issues. Yeah, so it was a bit confusing.
It didn't make much sense to some of it. He took over the Hood, then he started fighting against the organization that he was part of, so he could be made in charge of it. And then he gave the Hood back to the guy who had been the Hood. And then they started saying, "Oh, we've got a compromise, and he's on our side now." And he's like, "Well, where did that come in? Why are you saying that in the story when nothing actually happened in the story to actually make that a thing?" And then next thing you know, he's attacking that organization again. It's like, well, why did he think it was going to happen? I couldn't quite understand that. It was all a bit, and there was that it's kind of like drug that they took. Like one of the comic books, half the story was a new character called the Fox. Literally took over the half of the comic, and he hadn't really had much chance to see what the Black Hood was about. And the other one that I read, I think I've probably enjoyed the most. The comic was weird. We didn't get to actually talk about what happened in the comic. It turns out that he thinks he's a human guy who's got these powers suddenly. It turns out he's an alien. An alien took over his body. No, an alien shapeshifter, it looked like him, kept him in a vat. Somehow their minds got changed, like from electrical storm or something. They made their mind. So his mind was actually in the alien's body, which looked like his own body. And then later on, his own body with the alien's mind, he gets killed. So he's no longer... He's actually dead, but his memories are in an alien body. It looks like him, and like at the end, he ends up getting killed at the end of it. Well, that's because I was thinking to myself that these books were really kind of like kid friendly and like happy go lucky kind of comic books, but they're not at all. Actually, they're quite dark in a weird way. Like so, he actually ends up getting killed, and then in the Fly, it's all going like pretty well, and then the very last comic book, suddenly it goes after the last couple of pages. It suddenly goes forward 6 months. He's been missing for 6 months, and no one's got any idea who he is. And his support character is his mum, and that all like, oh well, I wish I knew where my son was. And that was it. It ended on that, and it was like, well, that's weird. That's like they seem to have like sort of like pigeonholed or what was it, shoehorned in. That's the phrase, shoehorned in a sad ending to it when there was no need to. I couldn't work out.
It was a line that was mismanaged from the start. They tried, like you said, to a line for younger viewers, because comic book at DC were starting to get darker at this point. Frank Miller had done already The Dark Knight. Alan Moore had done Watchmen, I think. And I guess the numbers weren't there, so they backflipped and started to try to grab a larger public. And the line lost its sole purpose. And if you're trying to establish new characters and you keep changing the mood or the style of the series, and it's not even a year old, you're gonna discourage a lot of potential new readers, I think. And that's what happened with Impact. Yeah, because Blackhood came in when the first few series were already at number 4 or something like that.
Yeah,
so it might be why Blackhood was darker than the other series, because it came a bit later, and maybe by this point they opened the door to do stranger and darker and weirder series.
Maybe he was kind of like in the other comic books, he was kind of like guest starring in them quite a bit, as if he was trying to get them together to become a team. It seemed like he was trying to recruit them at one point. He was kind of like a twisted Punisher kind of version, but it turned out the Black Hood, although it seeks people who are good to do good deeds and only lets them do good deeds, it also twists their character. So he'd turn into seemingly like a good guy into like one who wanted to break people's backs and that kind of thing, that kind of like much darker and like punish the guilty kind of thing, like way above and beyond what needs to be done kind of thing. That's what it seemed like it had done to him. And it almost got the gist, like, because he dies in the first issue of his own comic book, and it seems to me like, I'm not sure if the Black Hood didn't like let him die, because he wanted, like, or even made him die, because he got killed in such a weird way. He was just wrestling with a guy who had a gun, and he sort of froze, and the guy shot him in the head. It seemed like he sort of paused, and he got shot in the head. And it was like, did the Black Hood make him do that? Because later on we find the Black Hood like corrupts people, even though it makes them do good. It corrupts even the good people to become like a dark version of good. And yeah, it was all very, very interesting, very strange.
I had a few books to show also.
Yeah.
On the last cover singer, I showed this one, the Betty and Veronica by Adam Hughes. The books I'm going to show tonight are books that I had on a pile. I wanted to do videos about on my channel once I start doing videos back again, but I don't know when I'm going to start doing videos again, because my friend, the editor, is up to his neck in jobs, so he doesn't have time to edit my videos. And I was able to finish. There were only 3 issues of that series by Adam Hughes. There's some glare on the cover. Sorry, I should have removed the cover.
They seem like they're loving
the cover, I thought.
They're doing the love heart, but then the cover's being torn in two. So it's like
exactly. It's a picture, a photo that is been, because the whole point of the. I'm gonna remove the bag for the one.
So it's Betty versus Veronica.
The whole point of the series was a feud between Betty and Veronica. So this cover had, at least there were many variant covers, but this one had the Team Betty here, and there's another cover by Adam Hughes that is Team Veronica.
Yeah.
And there were many others covered by other artists that I thought weren't as good as Adam Hughes. It's too bad Adam Hughes only did 3 issues. But I guess he must have a love of the characters, because he doesn't do whole stories anymore. He just do covers.
No. If you can get paid just to do a cover, then you might as well get paid for it, might you?
And I'm pretty sure the pay for a cover is must mean almost the same as doing many pages of artwork for. And also, when you're doing a story, the whole process of storytelling takes much more time. So it makes sense for an artist who is in demand for his covers to just do that. Brian Bolland learned that almost from the start of his North American career.
Yeah, sure.
The only series he did was Camelot 3000.
Yeah. If you can make your living doing that, then you might as well. Why go through all the headache of, drawing 28 pages or whatever it is nowadays?
So I liked the Adam Hughes 3-issue series. I wish other artists would do Archies like this, bring their own take on the characters and all that. And as you might know about me, I also collect Christmas covers. So I was lucky enough to get some nice issues of Archie Giants. This is Christmas Lovin'.
Mm-hmm. I think I got a feeling I read an Archie at one point for some reason. I can't remember why.
Just one?
Where I saw it. I've never really read any Archie or even seen any Archie in the wild in the UK. It's never been a thing here, Archie.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever seen it in a comic shop over here. I don't remember anyway. But I kind of got a feeling that I might have read an Archie at some point. It might be like an Archie-like character, maybe. I can't remember now.
And the last Archie I have is a Pep comic. This I learned, I showed in one of my very first episodes of Ranger Sly.
There was
a Archie comic that takes place in a comic book convention. And after that, the classic comic collector made a whole episode with many, like 5 or 6 Archie comic that takes place in a comic book convention. So here you see that a Archie lookalike series called Wendell and His Girls, Brenda and Kobina.
Kobina, that's a funny name.
Kobina is a word, yeah.
And that's supposed to be his world's variant of his own comic book, basically.
Yeah. Very meta.
Yeah.
So he showed this one, and I'm trying to. I like the theme of comic book with conventions theme, and I didn't know Archie had made several of those. So I'm trying to pick them up when I can.
All right. So yeah, another thing to collect.
Yeah, and I also have a couple of Justice League. I don't know if you know this one.
So look. What number is it? Oh, Giant.
It's number 144.
I don't think that's on my list. I think I'm trying to get one. Actually, I think I'm getting one. Trying to get 100 onwards. Let's have a look. Actually, I've kind of got my Justice Leagues that I bought, but I've not actually read them yet. I was trying to see if I could. I could get before I read them all in one go. 144 was that?
Yeah.
I've got that one.
This was during a period when I never was a big Justice League fan. I became a fan when in the 80s when Keith Giffen and Kevin Maguire and John DeMatteis did the funny version of the Justice League, which some people didn't like.
I didn't like it initially. I hated it initially because it turned Blue Beetle into a joke. I thought it turned Blue Beetle into a joke, so I didn't like it. So I kind of I must have got a few and then stopped buying it. But then collected them all subsequently, kind of thing, a few years later when I stopped being such a fuddy-duddy.
They're such a fun read, I thought. And so I bought this one because I saw that there were... this was during a period when all the Justice League were giant size, 60 cents, 30-something pages. It says here 33 page. And this one it was a 2-part story with a lot of guest stars, and it took place in the early days of the Justice League. And I'm trying to find the page.
That's from the first series, though, isn't it? That one. That is from the first
from
series.
the first series.
Yeah,
okay, here it is. So there's a lot of guest stars. There's the Black
Hawks, Challengers,
Plastic Man,
Vigilante,
Robot Man, Congo Bill, and Congo
Rex
Rilla.
the Wonder Dog.
Rex the Wonder Dog, my favorite. And also Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, well, of course. It makes sense.
Here.
If you're going to have a hero convention, you've got to have Jimmy Olsen there. Is that Lois with him? Or
Yeah, it was Lois. And there was the second part was this. I'm going to remove the bag once again.
I don't think I've got 144 I've already got because it's not on my list anymore. 145 I still need. Yeah, quite a lot around that sort of number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
And I got 2 more Justice League I'm going to show. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of Justice League, but I remember seeing those cover on the rack. And since I didn't collect Justice League at that time, I didn't pick them up. but I picked them up recently because I always wanted to get them in my collection.
Yeah,
I was lucky enough to buy them before the big reveal of Star Wars. And this is one of the early Brian Bolland cover for DC.
Oh yeah, I've got that one. I've got about 30 more I need from my 100 to the end of the series on that one.
I always found this cover very creepy with all the superheroes zombie-like with a big starfish in the face.
Yeah, Starro is crazy.
Brian Bolland is also very good at making creepy covers with the seemingly normal or outlandish characters.
Yeah, because Starro is the very first. He's the very first JLA villain, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed that one in the cover slingers when we did landmarks. Yeah, Empire State Building.
Because of this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I showed that one. I remember, was it The Boy Who Had Seven? He did a mission, one of those box things they send out, and they had a Starro sleep mask. And I thought that was so funny. Starro sleep mask. So
I would have bought that.
I thought I don't wear a sleep mask, but I thought it looked really cool. I thought it was a really fun concept.
I was lucky enough to buy those before the big reveal of the next Suicide Squad movie with Starro as the main villain. I'm guessing the price on those must have gone up since then. But,
yeah, I've got those two already. So, yeah.
Were you a Justice League fan even as a younger reader?
Yeah, I got. Yeah, I mean,
when these came out.
When I didn't really buy that many comic books when I was young, to be honest. So I got one or two. I got maybe 3 or 4 comic books from that run. I enjoyed them, but I didn't really start buying comics in earnest until I got a job. I learned to kind of realize more recently that, I had a few. And I liked them, but I didn't really have that. I wasn't really blessed with that much pocket money, so I didn't really buy that many. My dad would buy me the UK comics. Unfortunately, I should have said to him, "Look, buy me these comics instead." I didn't really think about it, so he was buying me 2000 AD, which was cool. But I'd get a boys' adventure kind of comics, like Tiger and Speed and stuff with stunt men and that kind of stuff, and football. And I wish I'd said to can we change it up and get me these superhero ones instead? But yeah. But yeah,
you have a whole culture of comic books in England that we don't hear enough about in North America, but
it's kind of died a death now, though. Unfortunately, the UK comic industry, where it used to be so many comic books on the shelves everywhere, there's nothing now. There's hardly any comic books really. It's quite sad, but that's progress, I suppose.
And you have such great artists also. I'm blanking now on the name. We know Brian Bolland, which I just showed, the artist that went to work with American comic books, but there's a lot of British artists who painted their story with beautiful art. I don't remember the name at the top of my head now.
All right. Simon Bisley did a lot of painting, didn't he? Bisley and Glenn Fabry, but he did a lot of American comics as well.
Yeah, but I'm talking older than these guys.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember buying a collection.
Would it be in the war books? We used to have a little a commando war book, a small kind of digest looking thing.
I have a collection of commando in a big thick hardcover volume somewhere. I don't see it right now.
All I've got is I bought this one actually. So I'll find if I can get it down without. Oh, I'm not even got you on screen, have I? That's silly of me. Let's put me on screen. True Brit.
Yeah, I have one of those. Well, not this one, but
Commando Action and Adventure. Yeah, all black and white.
See where it is. Oh, I have the one. I see it now, but it's kind of out of reach. I have one called Deadly Dozen. I don't know if you have this one.
No.
It's the same format as you just showed. It's a thick volume of commando stories.
Yeah. Okay.
And these were great if you like war stories. The Commando title, and you had a few others were digest size. They came in digest size.
Yeah. There was that one, and there's also like a sci-fi one as well. There was the War One Commando, and there was a sci-fi one. I can't remember what it was called now. Though I had one or two of those, but not loads. I can't remember what it was called. Like Starliner or Starlighter or something like that. I can't remember now.
Not familiar with that.
Yeah, similar stuff.
Commando, I remember reading as a kid because they were translated, I think, in France or Belgium, and they would ship the French version in North America sometimes.
Remember, I got some British comics here. I bought these, like, I went on a nostalgia kind of, I might have shown these before. I went on a little nostalgia kick, and I picked these up because, yeah, I've not read them or even looked at them since I bought them. I used to have loads of these, and I just went, because I sold them all on eBay, I went on nostalgia kick when I saw them going cheap. It's like £2 someone was selling a load for, and it's this kind of thing, cheeky weekly stuff like that. I think this was number one. I never actually had number one back in the day. I think this was number one. I'm sure one of them was number one anyway. And like I never had this. I used to get, I think I got all of these from like number 3 of Cheeky Weekly. But he was from another comic book called The Bash Street Kids. I think he was the Bash Street? No, he was the Crazy Gang from a comic called Crazy. And then there's, yeah, it's just.
You showed this in a video a few months ago.
I thought I've every now and again I'll get them. I just happen to be sitting there and we happen to be on the subject.
Are they collectible in England? Are they hard to find or valuable? Or
nah, not super valuable. Nah, people aren't that interested in. There's a few old people, few people who will pick them up, but crazy. Yeah, but not much. Shame. Look, we got big long ones like that. Topper.
Did you collect also what's his name? The magazine called Warriors?
No, I had a couple of those.
Vendetta started off, I think.
Yeah, no, I had a couple of those at one point, and but I sort of long after they came out, I sort of picked them up. And I think I sold them. I think I sold them on eBay. I never really thought to collect them. Nice glossy one. Plug. He was from the Bash Street Kids. Percival Proudfoot Plugsley was his name. It's very silly. But
that's a name that could have fitted in the Dial H for Hero that you showed at the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they were very kind of like zany kind of comic books, very sort of silly, but then you had the ones that were more like sensible, like sort of sporty kind of ones, football and stuff like that. But it'd always be football with a twist, like the strongest footballer in the world who could fire a football like a cannonball kind of thing with his shot, or be someone with magic boots, and he lost his magic boots, he couldn't play football very well, kind of thing, stuff like that.
Werewolf by Lunchtime is talking about something that is typical British. I think you guys have annuals. I think they were big.
That's right.
Hardcovers. And they started to do that a long time ago because I saw annuals about Western characters that published by Dell in the 50s. And
cool, yeah. Yeah, there was lots of annuals like this. This would always be something you'd pick up and read and reread kind of thing. I think I've sold most of my annuals. The only annuals I've got now, I've got like an Avengers annual out there, but kind of recent-ish one. I've got a few like 2000 AD and Judge Dredd albums, like 1978, 2000 AD annual, that kind of thing. Those are the only ones I really kept.
Paulo Costa says that Commando were even published in Portuguese.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was a popular series, Commando. Like I say, it was translated also in French.
I'm not sure if it's still going. I think it might even still be going. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I saw someone posted up on a Facebook page recently. He's like one of the old artists. He's like, I don't know, in his 90s or something, and it was showing him still drawing like Commando covers kind of thing. Roy of the Rovers, yeah.
And the last comic I wanted to show this week was this one, the Spider-Man Annual number 14. I always liked when Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, the two Steve Ditko co-creation, meet and this one is a fun issue because it's drawn. Not only the cover, but the issue is drawn by Frank Miller.
Yeah, you always know that they're Ditko creations because there's a special sign that they show, the Ditko sign. It's it's like that. That must be the Ditko sign. It's like a secret club.
Yeah.
They both do that, don't they? Well, kind of similar.
Now that you mention it, it didn't spring to mind that Doctor Strange would cast his spell and Spidey would spin his web with the same fingers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ditko had mannerism. You always drew the same kind of hand position or the same kind of face, the same kind of. I love his work a lot. I have many of his books. I have a whole row of shelf of hardcover books of Ditko's work from Marvel, DC, Charlton, and stuff.
So I think if Blue Beetle did that a little bit as well, because he had some controls in his gloves. So when he'd cool down the bug, I think he might have pushed his glove like that or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
So it might have been a similar thing.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. You got anything on the way? You got anything in order or?
Not on YouTube because, as I said, my editor is working on 2 different festivals right now. In Montreal, there's a big festival called Just for Laughs.
Oh, yeah, the comedy festival.
Yeah, he works for them.
Show, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and also there's a big kind of science fiction, kind of Asian martial art movie festival called Fantasia.
Okay.
Like Fantasia. Like,
yeah. So it used to be oh, I see, Fantasia. I get it. Yeah,
Fantasia, and he works for them also. So sometimes he gets movies from this festival with movies from all over the world. So sometimes he get movies where he has to put on the translation at the bottom, the subtitles. So so he does a lot of job for them. Sometimes he has to transform the format of the digital print they get and all that. So he's swamped with work. He works like 48 hours a day during the summer. So
48 hours a day? Was he got a time machine?
Well, yeah, science fiction world. So he's overswamped during all the summer months. So
he's doing the wrong sci-fi. He should clone himself. So he only got if you guys do like 10 clones, you've only got to do so many hours each. That's what he needs to be doing.
And also, every time he gets in a jam like this, it's always the time he has 2 or 3 computers, and always one of them breaks. So he just recently he had to buy a whole new computer because and he needs all those computers to work at the same time because he has sometimes to transfer data from one to the other. I don't know. I'm not a technical guy, so.
Yeah, one of my computers, I accidentally broke the screen recently, so it's like, it's got all those of my stuff sort of on it that I need for the future, and I think I can just plug it into the TV and I can still use it, kind of thing. But it's a pain in the butt.
That's what I do. Not this one. This is my computer from work, but my main computer is my TV screen in my.
Yeah, cool. I've done some order. I did ordered quite a few comics on my Facebook, one of the Facebook groups that I'm in. One of the guys who's like always selling them on there, and so he's not asked for me to settle up yet. But I've just kind of bought, when I paid for it, the first Superman Flash race. I think it's $2.99. I think it's $2.99. Okay. And
there were a few of them. I have trouble keeping track of all the issues.
It's down as being the first one, so that's. Okay. I think it's either Action $2.99 or Superman $2.99. So let's see. I think I've got it on me. Yeah, $1.99. Sorry, Superman $1.99 from 1967, August 1967. It's the first race of Superman and the Flash. So he put it up there like pretty good price actually, I think, compared to what it's going for on Metal Archive. So yeah. I kind of like ummed and ahed about it but I just went, screw it. It's only money.
I just want to shout out a guy in the chat called Cinnamon Cat Models Comics and Toys. Any of you guys who is not already subscribed to him he shows a lot of cool stuff. cool vintage toys, comic books, miniatures of World War II models.
I am sub to him. Pretty sure I am sub to him. Yeah, CLZ app. I can't bother with CLZ app. I think I had it for about 5 minutes, and I just look it up on mycomicshop.com. It pretty much tells you everything you need. Have you got any apps on your phone? How do you catalog your? Have you got like one of them apps for cataloging your comic books, or you just got it written down?
I'm an old dinosaur, so I have I'm gonna show it to you. I have it here. I have a little black book.
Yeah.
A book, but it's a mess right now. So here you have. I'm not sure it's gonna show on the cover. My Marvel Westerns.
Yeah.
So I tried to group them by either team. I have a whole section on Westerns.
Do you have like a list of what you've got, or just what you want to get?
A little bit of both. Sometimes when I have a almost complete run and I'm missing only a few issues, I'm gonna write down the issue I'm missing. And sometimes when it's either a series that I don't really collect and I just want to buy some of the issues that are interesting to me, I will write down the one I got. So yeah, it's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
And also I'm trying to show a page where it's a mess. So yeah, sometimes I will scratch down some lines and and they're not always in order, so it's quite a mess.
Yeah, it's not a perfect system.
And I've seen one. I think it was the CLZ that on my phone that was available, and I want to try it out, but I'm not sure. I'm really old school. I like to have this book is always in my backpack when I go out. So, and I can a bit like when you're a kid and your mom wants you to clean up your room, and you say it's not a mess. I know exactly where everything is. If I clean it up, I won't find anything anymore. It's a bit the same thing with my notebook.
Yeah, I've got my blog post, but I also carry a physical copy as well. So mine's like this. There's all my wants.
Oh, it's a list, okay.
Yeah, a list of what I want, and then like I suddenly add new things to it, and I have to write them on the back. And sort of
okay.
And every now and again, I go to my dad's because he's got a printer. I'll print up the whole list again from my blog post. So if I haven't got this with me, I can just go on my mobile phone and check my Tales from the Grey Side blog, and it's got all my wants list on there as well.
Yeah, that's a cool idea, by the way.
Yeah, it works for me anyway. Because a lot of these other ones, there was this one that I downloaded momentarily. And it was like you only get like so much with a free version. You got to pay something to get the full version, and you have to scan every single barcode of your comic books or something to add them. It was like screw that. I tried doing one flash, like first series flash, and it had no barcode on it, so I had to try and put in. I can't remember how they wanted you to search, and I thought if I've got to do this for every single comic, I'm not interested. I'll stick to my system.
Yeah. Wow, Paulo, you have a bigger brain than me.
I commit everything to memory. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. I can't commit anything to memory. My memory is absolute rubbish.
Especially since I don't just collect a comic book. I have a huge bookcase full of you call them a graphic novel in English, but in French they call it albums.
All right.
So album or graphic novel of books in French. I have a list also of DVD movies I'm looking for, or sometimes CDs I'm looking for, because I like to go to used bookstores, and they often have also used CDs and DVDs.
Yeah.
So there's not one app I think that could do all this. I think CLZ has. I know there's a kind of app that does one for comic books, one for DVDs, but you have to change every time your app. So I don't know. It's just easier for me to just grab the notebook and find.
I don't buy films anymore. I can't bother. I look at all the films that I've bought. I think to myself, every time you got a film for Christmas or birthday, you watched it once, and I just felt I never got around to watching it again. So it's like, I don't bother collecting films anymore.
Yeah, me it's the reverse. I used to go a lot to movie theaters. I would go almost once a week at one point at movie, and I don't like it anymore. There's too many ads at the beginning. You buy a popcorn and a soft drink, and you sit down to watch a movie, and there's a half an hour of ads.
Yeah.
And I used to like movie previews, but now it's ridiculous with all the ads before. And by the time the movie starts, you finish your popcorn, and it's been half an hour since you sat down.
Yeah, you've got to get there late.
And
get there late. Also, how can you afford the popcorn and the drink in the blinking cinema? Man, we must be well rich.
Yeah, the price.
You must be well rich.
I understand why they do this, because the price of movie tickets hasn't gone up really in many, many years. So they have to make their money on the popcorn. But you know that to make a big bag of popcorn like this, it's gonna cost them a few cents, maybe 25 cents. But they sell these for $7, $8, $9, and a big soft drink that I could go through a whole week drinking that. It's the same thing. It costs pennies to make soft drink with the fountain and the gas and the syrup they mix. I know because I used to work in a restaurant where they told us how much a big tank of syrup would cost, and the carbonated water would cost, and it would cost like the restaurant would spend like pennies to make a huge tall glass of soft drink. So
they got the big markup on those. But
also, as I'm getting older, I'm less patient with people who make noise in the movie theater. So I prefer now to watch the movies in my own home. Cinnamon Cat Model Comics and Toys is right. It's brutal in the theater nowadays.
I used to go with my aunt all the time. We'd go in the daytime when there was hardly anybody there, and we'd take our own snacks with us. So
hey, Surf Blue.
Yeah, we never snacks. Never buy any snacks in there. It's like it's not worth it. It's for the amount of money they charge. It's just like ripping you off totally.
Well, when you've been going to the movies since you were a kid with a popcorn in your hand and a soft drink in the other, it's your brain kind of associate movie going with a butter, popcorn, and soft drink. So it's hard not to buy one when I go to the movies.
No, I always used to, because I used to always go to the supermarket. Go to the supermarket, pick up some snacks, stick it in a bag, pay to go into the cinema, and then eat cheap.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't bother.
See what have I got? Have I got any? Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah. Okay, Mississippi.
Also, I do rewatch the movies. I have almost every 2 or 3 summers. I will go through the whole James Bond series of movies because in my mind, James Bond are always associated with the summer time. So I will watch them, and then I go 1 year or 2 without watching them, and then I'll go through the whole series again. What's that series you just showed?
Just saw some books sort of standing where I wasn't expecting to see them. I forgot to put them there. Mississippi Zombie. I think this was okay from Comic Fu.
Okay.
I think he sent me that one.
They're short stories or comic books or?
No, it's just a graphic novel. It's just collected 5 Tales of Zombie Survival by Caliber Comics. All based in Mississippi, so Mississippi Zombies. A horror anthology signed by Bradley Golden. I think it was a friend or something of. I can't remember where I got these. I think this might have been from Man Cave. I think Man Cave might have sent me this. I can't remember now.
Is that the first one, Son of the Demon? Or
Son of the Demon, yeah, Son of the Demon.
Done by Mike Barr and Jerry Bingham, eh?
That's right.
That was a good story.
Is this the one where he gets Talia up the duff? Isn't this the one where the conception of Damian Wayne is meant to be in? Is that this one?
I thought it was the second one, Bride of the Demon, I think.
I don't know.
I read this when this came out in the 80s, I think. Oh, I love this book. This is one of my favorite graphic novels. I have one. Mine is signed by Bernie Wrightson.
Oh, right, cool.
Who I've met. That was such a pure joy graphic novel.
Yeah.
I usually wait to buy DVD and Blu-ray. Yeah, right. That's the same with me now. When I see a movie, I want to see it. I just wait for the DVD to come out, and
you ain't got to wait long nowadays. I remember when we were kids, it would be like 3 years, wouldn't it, for a film would come on?
Yeah.
On TV. Well, back in the day, it'd be on TV. Was it 3 years before it came on TV, or 5 years even before it came on TV?
Yes, sometimes.
Back in the day before videos.
It depended on the movies because, like for example, Disney movies almost never came up on TV. They would sometimes be on the Walt Disney TV shows on Sundays, but Disney movies almost never showed up on TV. And also some of the movies would run for many years in the theaters back in the days. They had to wait for it to do the whole
circuit
around the world, all the movie theaters, and before we could watch it on TV.
Cool. You got anything else you want to show?
Not this week, no. I've showed what I had near me.
Yeah, I think we'll call it a night then, because I'm feeling quite tired now. I've had a few beers earlier, so I'm like, feel a bit drowsy now.
Okay.
Successful movie would stay in theaters for 6 months. At least 2 years before it showed up on video rental. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Latest one I got was Kong. I've not even seen Kong versus Godzilla. I kind of so out of the loop. Last time I saw was a couple of trailers. I didn't even realize it had come to the cinema yet. I suppose with the lockdown, it's been a bit confusing about all that. But
I just want to say to Werewolf, he says that Bernie Wrightson is a hero of mine. When I met him at a very small convention in Montreal, and he was very nice. I was with a friend, and we were interviewing him for I think a high school journal or something like that. And he gave us at least an hour of chatting with us. And he was a very fun and nice guy, very approachable.
Have you still got the interview?
What?
Have you still got the interview?
The friend I was with when I interviewed him is actually my editor. And he's the one who if it's still available, he's the one who would have it. We made the interview on a very small cassette player, and it was. I have only good memories of Bernie Wrightson, except for his signature, because when you see Bernie Wrightson's work in comic book, he has a very lush signature where you see his name Wrightson in bold calligraphy. And when he signs for people in comic books, it looks like a scribble. It's like a B and a W and a squiggly line, and you don't recognize the name. So I was I was expecting to have a nice Wrightson written, nice calligraphy, but his signature was.
He's got a speedy signature as well as a more formal signature, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every signed book I've seen on the internet has the same signature, the scribbly signature. So. Yeah. It wasn't because he was fed up with us or anything. It's just his signature for when he signed books. Yeah,
maybe it's harder to sign with those kind of pens as well. Like if he was using a felt kind of pen, it's harder to get the same kind of style as you would with a thin pencil or pen, wouldn't it? Really.
Doing the Frankenstein graphic novel for Marvel, which was all like woodcut, very thin and precise line work in ink. And he got very sick. He got like very problem with his wrist, his drawing hand, and he got an infection because of the metal around his watch. So he couldn't draw or write for a long time after that. That's why he was out of comic books for a big while.
You can imagine that kind of repetitive strain, or repetitive over and over and over again. Yeah, it's like anything.
When you see his line work on Frankenstein, it's line after line, just like a woodcut imprint. It was years of work to do this book, but it was a very it affected him a lot on his health. doing this?
I kind of like I can't remember if I got those from like there was a card set of those or something like that. I remember having at one time because I remember using the picture from one as a flyer for my band's first demo. It was like someone tied to a bed or something like that. Someone was tied to a bed, like a mad old woman or something like that.
Okay.
Tied to a bed. And I kind of put a logo on it. Said, don't lie in bed all day. Get your suffering demo for free from this address, kind of thing. I remember putting it on way back in the day. I've probably got that somewhere, but yeah, don't ask me where. Anyway, my eyes are drowsing, so yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was fun as always.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully next week I'll have some more comics to show because I dare say you'll send me the bill and I'll think it's like a load of adventures and world's finest and stuff like that.
Cool.
Those kind of cool ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you later, everyone. Thanks for popping in. Anyone wants to come on maybe next week, let us know. Bye.
Happy trails, everyone.
Have a great, amazing day.